Hello and welcome to Clearview Television. We're reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. First, the headlines. NAFDAC raises alert over killer cough syrups, which have resulted in the death of 66 children in Gambia. Lagos stands still for Tinubu as MC Oluomo leads rally for APC presidential candidate Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Ex-Plateau State Governor Senator Joshua Darie says his conviction on corruption charges was politically motivated. I am Nkiru Obuli with these and more. Parts of Kogi State House of Assembly complex in Lokoja have been gutted by fire. Clearview TV understands that the incident occurred on Monday morning. Salah Ozigi, director of the Kogi Fire Service, said the fire did not extend beyond the chamber and gallery of the assembly complex. A security guard at the complex told the cable that the fire started around 7 a.m. Jerry Omodara, the Special Advisor on Security to the Kogi State Governor, who was at the scene, refused to speak with journalists on the possible cause of the fire, while Matthew Kalawale, Speaker of the Kogi Assembly, said the fire will not affect the sitting of the Assembly, noting that the maze was not destroyed. The Speaker added that the security operatives will investigate the incident to unravel the cause. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has alerted healthcare providers and the public of the death of 66 children in Gambia following the use of 4 substandard cough syrups, as reported by the World Health Organization (WHO). According to a press statement made available to newsmen and the media, the 4 products are promethazine oral solution, Cofex Maline baby cough syrup, Makeoff baby cough syrup, and Maghrib and cold syrup are unsafe, and their use, especially in children, may result in serious injury or death. Laboratory analysis of samples of the 4 products confirmed that they contain unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol as contaminants that are toxic to humans when consumed and can prove fatal. According to the statement, the toxic effects can include abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, inability to pass urine, headache, altered mental state, and acute kidney injury, which may lead to death. NAFDAC wants the public to know that all batches of these products listed above are not registered by NAFDAC, unsafe, and not in circulation. 2 suspected internet fraudsters, popularly known as Yahoo Boys, have allegedly killed a 40-year-old man, Abdullahi, in the Owode-Egba area of Ogun State. Police Public Relations Officer in the state, Abimbola Oyeyemi, who disclosed this in a statement, said the suspects were arrested at their hideout at Owode-Egba 3 months after they allegedly committed the crime. It was gathered that the victim was cut into pieces by the suspects for ritual purposes in the southwestern state. Oyeyemi identified the suspects as 21-year-old Friday Abinya Ode and 20-year-old Apostle Idowu, adding that they were apprehended following a report lodged at Owode-Egba Divisional Headquarters. The victims' relatives, the police spokesman noted, had on June 9 complained that their loved one left his home in the Kobakbe area on June 8 and did not return since then. According to the police spokesman, all efforts to recover the remains of the victim proved abortive, as the suspects claimed to have disposed of it. He stated that the State Commissioner of Police has directed that the suspects be charged to court at the conclusion of the investigation. About 58 illegal oil points have been discovered so far since the operation to end oil theft on the waterways of Delta and Bayelsa states began. Ex-militant leader government Ekpemo Polo, also known as Tompolo, said this in a press briefing at Oporosa on Sunday, where he also gave an update on the recent discovery of a 4-kilometer illegal crude oil pipeline in the Focados area of Delta State. According to him, with this breakthrough, stakeholders in the region are optimistic that the war against crude oil theft will be won. Tompolo also commended the efforts of the military and the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited for collaborating with him on the operation, promising to do everything possible to bring the menace to a halt. Sunday's comments came on the heels of another uncovered illegal oil connection from Focados terminal that operated for 9 years. Now, 72 hours after Nigeria's electoral body INEC declared open the official campaign for the 2023 general elections, the candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), Bola Tinubu, was missing in action, generating concerns among his supporters. Tinubu left the country unannounced on Sunday of that week for the United Kingdom, further fueling speculation that the candidate may be in the UK for medical attention. At the inauguration of the Women Presidential Campaign team, Tinubu used the occasion to express his sympathy for the victims of flood across the country and the recently released victims of Kaduna-Abuja bound train attack, and promised the female folk a better deal while giving thumbs down to opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) for what he describes as lack of focus.
Hopelessness is not part of our dictionary. We are confident people. Unity is here. Diversity is here. Prosperity is here. That's what we come to promote. A nation blessed deserve the reward. Our opponents spent 16 years. They had forgotten that highway is an economy, that electricity is mandatory for industrialization. They don't even understand the power of transmission line, and there's a need for maintenance of it. They couldn't even make down payment on rail track.
The APC's women campaign team, comprising of over 1,200 females drawn from across the country, is expected to further bolster the party's gender-sensitive credentials, as the APC is also the only major political party to have a female gubernatorial candidate in the forthcoming 2023 general elections. Lagos Metropolis Sunday witnessed heavy traffic in the early hours as Musiliu Akinsoya-led group embarked on a roadwork to rally support for the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
A man of intelligence and a very disciplined man, and I believe that when he controls Nigeria, everything will be balanced because he knows how to balance something.
So somebody like Tinubu can do this country, and I want everybody to vote for him. Right? The thing I do in Lagos, he go do it in the whole federation of Nigeria. He go do it.
Use our vote to remove that insecurity in our land. Let us use our vote to grow our economy.
Who feels it and knows it? These were the words of the national coordinator of the National APC Supporters Center, Alhaji Ibrahim Batati, while reacting to the devastating floods that ravaged some states in the Federation. Such states include Jigawa, Kogi, Benue, Adamawa, Kebbi, Taraba, Kano, Bauchi, Anambra, Niger, and Ebonyi. Batati, who was addressing journalists in Abuja, lamented the casualties in the human lives and property and prayed for the repose of the souls of those that lost their lives and adequate consolation for the bereaved families and the state governments. He therefore called for the immediate intervention of the federal government through relevant agencies, while expecting that the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as National Emergency Management Agency and other relevant agencies would act decisively and swiftly to provide immediate palliatives to victims of the flooding. Batati rounded off his address by warning that with the alerts from the Meteorological Agency, 24 states will still witness huge rainfall that might worsen the situation. According to him, it was imperative that those who live in the most vulnerable areas be temporarily evacuated to avert further loss of lives. He promised to lead the national executive of the National APC Supporters Center to one of the affected states with palliatives, promising that this will be replicated by other chapters of the center in affected states. The national coordinator called on governments at all levels as well as non-governmental institutions to wake up to this humanitarian call by ensuring that necessary reliefs get to fellow human beings who have found themselves in this disaster. Ex-Plateau State Governor Senator Joshua Dare has said his conviction on corruption charges filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) was politically motivated. According to the former Plateau governor, he would have laundered the money in commission and turnover if he wanted to steal. Dare was convicted of stealing 1.16 billion naira while serving as a Plateau governor from 1999 to 2007 and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. But his term was eventually reduced to 10 years by the Court of Appeal in Abuja, while his conviction was affirmed by the Supreme Court. He, alongside ex-Taraba Governor Jolly Inyami, were granted a presidential pardon by President Muhammadu Buhari in April. They were, however, released by the Nigeria Correctional Service on August 8. In a country like Nigeria with over 200 million people, it is easy to be overwhelmed by pressure from the surrounding environment. In this special report, Clearview TV's Gloria Atta takes us through the impact of mental stress on human health and the need for every individual to pay attention to it.
Stress refers to the way the human body responds to pressure, from something sudden or as new as a big promotion in the office to an unexpected event like the loss of a loved one. Even a quick scroll through social media or watching network news on television can make an individual become mentally stressed. The sad reality is that many Nigerians do not pay the needed attention to mental stress and its overall impact on the quality of their lives. As a result, Clearview Television went to the streets of Abuja City to get an insight on the routine activities Nigerians undertake to relieve themselves of mental stress.
Somebody tried to, let's say, try to put pressure on me in my business area, in anywhere. So if I come back home, the first thing that I want to do, I will make sure I eat food.
In times like that, I just dance out my stress so that I'll feel good.
Clearview TV took a step further to get insight from Dr. Maria Saliu, a mental health expert on the concept of mental stress, its underlying effects on an individual's quality of life, and how to overcome it.
It's important to understand that self-care. So in self-care, we always talk about something called HALT. Hunger, anger, loneliness, and tiredness. And in our profession, HALT is something that we take very, very importantly. So if a patient comes to us and we're looking at HALT, we want to find out hunger, is the person eating well? Are they avoiding not eating? Anger, is the person always irritable? Are they quick to snap? Loneliness, are they isolating themselves? Do they have enough social network around them? Tiredness, do they have any sort of energy? You know, you might have people that they wake up in the morning, they just don't feel like doing anything. So if someone keeps complaining of those things, then they lack self-care, physical self-care. So at the point where you realize that it's a problem is when your halt, hunger, anger, loneliness, and tiredness is not being taken care of. Whether it's at work, whether it's in school, whatever you're doing, if you feel like the pressure is getting too much, learn to take time out. Another thing is take care of yourself. Eat well, sleep well, rest when you have to rest. If you need to go on a holiday and you can afford it, why not? Don't feel like there's a need to walk through, the year. And most important of all, if you're having difficulties trying to cope, then speak to a therapist.
In Nigeria today, mental health talks are gradually gaining popularity among citizens, particularly in the urban areas. However, a lot more needs to be done to help more Nigerians, especially in the semi-urban centers and rural areas, to become aware of the need to care for their mental health. How then can we raise awareness on mental health?
We have the social media out there that is doing a lot of work. And thank God Nigeria, mental health is becoming something a lot of people are more aware of. People were seeking, some years back, people won't look for a therapist, or they think it's an Oyinbo thing, But these days, people are more open. So I have so many people, I need to speak to a therapist, and it's becoming more, so it's out there now.
Through social media, then organizing programs to let people know the effects mental stress has on humans.
Always remember, your mental health, which consists of your psychological, emotional, and social well-being, has significant impact on every area of your life. Self-care is how you take your power back. Gloria Atta reporting for Clearview Television.
And on the foreign scene, at least 25 people have been killed and more than 50 are still missing after landslides swept away their homes in the Venezuelan town of Las Tafjeras. About 1,000 emergency personnel are taking place in charge of search and rescue operations. President Nicolas Maduro has declared 3 days of national mourning. Among those killed are 2 toddlers, local media said. Torrential rainfall caused the river El Pato to burst its bank. The resulting floodwaters swept away trees, cars, houses, and shops in the town, some 50 kilometers southwest of the capital, Caracas. One man said he had survived by clinging onto an antenna for 40 minutes while his home and others were swept away. According to EFE news agency, the electricity supply to the town has been cut, leaving it in darkness. Residents dug through the cloying mud by hand to try to find survivors. They were joined by sniffer dogs and specialized search teams. Interior Minister Remigio Ceballos said the landslides had been caused by Hurricane Julia, which passed just north of Venezuela. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news on Clearview Television. When we come back, we'll bring you stories on women and children. Stay with us.
The news continues now with stories from our area of specialization, women and children. After the main transmission of our news, we rebroadcast on our YouTube page, Clearview TV. Do you operate a women or children's NGO? Are you at the helm of affairs of a government establishment or a corporate organization involved in the affairs of women and children? Then you are our partners in progress. We have a mission to better the lot of our women and children. Join us to celebrate womanhood and work assiduously to better the lot of the Nigerian child. This is our mission.
You're welcome back. Child marriage, a marriage before age 18, has been seen as a violation of children's human rights and a form of gender-based violence that robs children of their innocence and stunts of their growth. In the preparation for the Girl Child Day, Clearview TV's Gloria Atta went to the streets of Abuja to find out the opinions of its residents and how it can be addressed.
Every year,
Over 22,000 girls in Nigeria die from complications associated with pregnancy and childbirth resulting from child marriage. Research has shown that West and Central Africa account for nearly half of all estimated child marriage-related deaths globally. An average of 26 deaths are recorded daily, making the regional teenage maternal mortality rate 4 times higher than anywhere else in the world. Sadly, the State of Nigerian Girls report has shown that these rates are not likely to decrease, as Nigerian girls now live in one of the most difficult times as a result of armed conflict, humanitarian crisis, kidnappings, natural disasters, displacements, strained health services, poverty, COVID-19 pandemic, and economic recession. How then can child marriages be prevented or reduced in Nigeria? Some Nigerians offer solutions.
A lot has to be done from parenting. The parents of the children really need to educate these children. They need to take care of them from the cradle. What I mean is when a girl child is exposed too early, the girl child thinks that marriage is the next option. And then marriage is not the next option, because a girl child needs to know who she is, and she needs to go to school. She needs to be established on her own. She needs to learn a trade, or she needs to become independent, so to say. And when a girl child is less, she doesn't understand these things. She is dependent, so she thinks that marriage is the only option available.
It's bad, in the sense that you just allow a girl child to make her choice. You allow her to experience life. You allow her to see those things that life is before getting into marriage.
As a mother, you're supposed to give that motherly love to your child. The girl child needs that motherly love a lot. Teach your children how to be industrious. They can do other things. There is skill acquisition.
They should abolish this culture thing, this thing that has been happening. And when a girl is just 12, 13, 14, they say, this is the right time for a girl to marry. Like in some cultures in Hausa land, a girl is just getting to 12 years, 13 years, they'll push the girl off for marriage, and that is so wrong, because the girl gets to that marital home and start learning what she should know when she's not yet married, and it becomes pretty difficult for that girl to cope.
They have to put a law. They just have to put a law in the sense that when a girl child gets to a starting stage in life, this is when the person is supposed to get married. You know, there should be a general law so that Nigerians, they will just put it as a law so that Nigerians will have it as is a law. A girl child is supposed to get to this certain stage before the girl child will get married. I think that will help.
Ending child marriage in Nigeria would require terminating the problem at its roots. It involves leveraging and harmonizing the instrument of the law, community efforts, and the good standing of leaders of socio-cultural institutions across Nigeria. Remember, by empowering a woman, we empower a child, but by educating a girl child, we make it possible for her to grow up to become an empowered woman. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview Television.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, in partnership with the Edo State government, has reunited a 7-year-old girl with her family after she ran away from her guardian in Benin City. Commissioner for Youth and Gender, Andrew Nwanta, and the Commandant NSCDC Edo State, Samuel Dan, while handing the girl to her parents, condemned in strong terms the act of child labor in the country.
Despite government efforts to eliminate all forms of child labor, this trend still thrives as some parents not only give out their children to work as domestic helps, but also encourage them to be trafficked. This 8-year-old girl, an indigene of Imo State, happened to fall victim to such acts and was rescued by concerned citizens of Edo State after she ran away from the home of her guardian.
I'm going to hand this daughter of yours to you, but you write an undertaking on a weekly basis. I think you work closely with your command in Imo State will still help us do some follow-up. We want to know from, I'll be calling you first education, because a new term has begun. Basic education is free everywhere in Nigeria. So we'll have to put her in school, right?
Documents. Commissioner, if it is possible, it should be included that what we have settled today should not degenerate into crisis between both families. So that
from now, if I take her now, when she reach village now, she will follow school start.
The Edo State government, through the Ministry of Youth and Gender and the Human Trafficking Unit of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, frowned at early form of child labor and reunited the young girl with her biological parent as part of its mandate to ensure that children's rights were protected as a strive in the Child Right Act.
like I said, she was supposed to be trafficked, but through the efforts of the NACDC, through interventions in a sensitization program, she came up and she was assisted. And from that time, the NACDC has been engaging with her. And they
I was rescued. I was thrown out of the house because I spoke out. But I was still going. I would say I'm very grateful, because along the way they didn't just say, oh, because we have rescued you, we'll leave you. No, they're always behind me. Make sure that I'm not thinking about any.
The NSCDC and the Edo State government have once again warned parents against trafficking their children for financial gains.
And that's the news, but before we go, a recap of the top stories. National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has alerted Nigerian public and healthcare providers of the death of 66 children in Gambia following the use of 4 substandard cough syrups, as reported by the World Health Organization. Lagos Metropolis on Sunday stood still for APC presidential candidate Ahmed Bola Tinubu as the Musiliu Akinsonya, also known as MC Oluomo-led group, embarked on a roadwork to rally support for Tinubu ahead of the 2023 presidential election. We also told you that former Plateau State Governor Senator Joshua Darie has said his conviction on corruption charges filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, was politically motivated. Darie was convicted of stealing 1.16 billion naira while serving as Plateau Governor from 1999 to 2007 and was sentenced to 14 years in prison before the presidential pardon. Clearview Television. Follow us on Twitter at Clearview Online. Follow us on Instagram at ClearviewTV_NG, and also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Clearview TV. Thank you for watching. I am Nkiro Obuli.